Welcome, everyone. Good Monday morning. I know some of you weren't with me last week, and today's practice stems from last week, so I want to catch you up. So at the beginning of last week, we were doing a sun and moon salutation, kind of blended all together, because we had just had a lunar eclipse. And we talked about the eclipse last Monday. And then on Wednesday, we kind of stuck with that subject matter, but went a little broader into it, because I had just learned from a Vedic astrologer, and Vedic astrology is different than Western astrology, but they were saying that the full moon, not just being in Scorpio, but at a particular star, it's something, Vishaka Nakshatra or something like that, which basically means the Vedic star of purpose. So anytime you're looking at things astrologically, they line up in different degree points or different star points. And so it varies according to the energy. With it being the Vedic star of purpose that it lined up in, they were sharing that that is the same time years ago when Buddha became enlightened. Because the full moon, right, is like emotions, and the Scorpio energy is transformational. So it's about emotional transformation. So I was talking last Wednesday about how Prince Siddhartha became Buddha. I'm going to be very, very brief with this, just to catch you up. Prince Siddhartha was born, obviously, with the royal family and all these royal riches. And he had always been protected and kind of stayed behind the palace walls. And as he got older, he went out amongst the village people and realized there was a lot of suffering. There was sickness, there was disease, there was death. And he was emotionally distraught because of this. And he ended up leaving his affluent lifestyle and decided to get involved in spiritual discipline and practices. And he landed underneath the Bodhi tree when he was 35 years old, meditated for 40 days, and became enlightened, or became the awakened one. That's what the Buddha means. So yoga came about way before the Buddha was around. And I did introduce you guys to a pose, a sitting position called Siddhasana. And Siddhasana, I mentioned, is named after Prince Siddhartha. So it's a sitting pose for meditation. So we worked up to that. But over the weekend, I decided to get out my book, the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. So the Yoga Sutras is the origin of yoga. It predates Buddhism, right? It's all about how to discipline the mind. It's a moral ethical code of how to live your life and how to reduce suffering and how to bring about inner freedom and inner peace. So it's like a recipe book of how to produce this. When Buddhism came along after the Buddha became enlightened, they adopted some of the yogic principles to be included in their lifestyle, because a lot of it's very similar. So I got out my book, the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, because it was written maybe about 1,500 years ago, if I'm correct on that. And it's the first book ever written that has poses in it. And it was way before the modern era of yoga that we're in now. And there's only like 30 maybe poses in the whole book. And I thought to myself over the weekend, I was like, I'm gonna get out this book because I want to know if Siddhasana is in there. Because I knew it was more sitting postures and then some crazy ones like peacock, you know. And I opened up the book to find it, and sure enough, it was there, but it was under a different name. So it started off being called, now stay with me on this, swastikasana. Okay, that was the original name. And a swastika actually means conducive to well-being. It has been corrupted and distorted during World War II, when Hitler adopted that symbol and turned it. Okay, so it's not the exact symbol, he turned it. So it's similar but different, right? He turned it into a hate symbol. But it actually originated as a love symbol. It was about fertility, creativity, the sun. It represented the sun and how the sun rays go. It represented good luck and prosperity and abundance, right? That was the origin of that. And so the original pose was called swastikasana, which they also called the auspicious pose. So it kind of makes sense that they changed the name. Changed the name of the pose to be Siddhasana. If you look at the Buddha in different depictions, he's sitting in all kinds of styles, right? Sometimes he's sitting in a chair with his feet firmly on the ground. Sometimes the laughing Buddha, he's standing or laughing, very jolly. There's the reclining Buddha, and then there's other ones where he is in sitting posture, either half lotus or full lotus or whatever. So because I wanted to bring that up and I wanted to give the true origin of that pose and what it represents, I will say that when I was a flight attendant back in the 90s and early 2000s, I had the pleasure of getting to go to India. This was before I got into yoga. So I was going to India in 97, 98. I got into yoga in 2000. So when I was being a tourist, you know, and going to the different temples, I remember standing in front of one temple going, why are there swastikas painted on the temple? That doesn't make any sense. Why would Hitler's influence be in India, right? Only to discover, no, he had taken it from the East and then turned it to be his symbol. So anyway, I don't know if you know the history of that, and I find history like that fascinating. And we're constantly evolving as humans, and we're constantly evolving over time. So if you ever go to India or to the East, because it's not just in India, it's in China, it's in other places. In Buddhism, they actually look at that symbol of the swastika, the original way, the original design, as being the footprints of Buddha. So anyway, I thought that was interesting, and I wanted to share that fact with you, because we will build up for Siddhasana again today for our practice. In fact, we're going to go ahead and start on our backs, and it's going to look like this, where your left foot comes in first, and then your right foot slides in front of that. This is a hip opener, so you will experience sensation here. If the sensation is screaming at you for any reason, I would suggest maybe taking some blocks underneath your thighs or knees for some support. Last week when we did this particular position, we used a bolster for a back bend. But this actually takes you a little bit deeper into the hip stretch. And I do realize it's early in the morning, and in the mornings, the hips and the hamstrings can be the tightest areas. So just pay attention to what you're feeling in your body, not just in this region where you're receiving the work, but elsewhere as well. Close your eyes and allow that cutoff of that particular sense to help you to look within. Listen within and feel within. Internalize your senses. And if you haven't already taken the reins of your breath, do so now. Every time you breathe in, allow your belly to be soft, so you can create that Buddha type belly. And every time you exhale, watch it deflate. Expanding the lungs as you inhale. Noticing their natural contraction as you exhale. And know that in any moment, we're either expanding or contracting. In the expansion is where we get enlightened towards something or someone. In the contraction, we withdraw. So try to maintain this feeling of expansion even as you breathe out. On your next in-breath, go ahead and stretch out through the legs. When you stretch out through the legs, point the toes on the inhale and flex the ankles on the exhale, and do that a couple more times. Pointing on the in-breath, pushing out through the heels on the out-breath, and noticing all those muscles engage up through the kinetic chain of the leg. And now slide your feet wider apart and draw your right foot in first towards the pubic bone, and then slide your left foot out in front of that. Now, we're not trying to cross the ankles under the shins. Just one foot in front of the other. The ankles under the shins is a completely different pose. Even though the ankles do provide that prop, you can use your blocks, blanket, or bolster to use instead. If anything crosses the threshold into pain or strain, obviously do less or give more support. And then move right back into your breath, because each side is going to be a little bit different. One side may be more pronounced than it was before, maybe less, dependent on where you're hoarding and storing stress and tension in your body. Continue to be introspective, because this is how we get to know ourselves at a very intimate level. We get to discover how life is showing up. On your next inhale, let's go ahead and slide the legs back out. Start to rotate your ankles and feet, circling them in one direction 3 to 7 times, and then circling the other direction as well. And then stretch the arms overhead and point your toes forward, just like you're waking up in bed. And then as you exhale, you're going to take a hold of your feet as your knees draw in towards your side ribs, creating what we call happy baby pose. If it's too challenging to grab the feet, you're going to hold your shins instead. You can lightly pull down on the feet, which drops the knees lower, but anchor down through your low back. Now, some people like to be static. That's me. I like to be static in this pose. Other people like to sway or roll or rock from side to side. You're also welcome to implement that. And gently begin to draw the knees together. Lower down to one side of your body. And then gently come up to take a seat. All right, so we're going to go ahead and sit in the easiest form of the Siddhasana. Left foot draws in, right foot in front of that. This is the easiest way to do this pose. But we're going to do a Kriya with it. So as you rest your hand down on your lap, lift up to the crown of your head. And as you exhale, you're going to turn towards the right thigh. Your you're going to drop down, sweep over to the left, and inhale to the top. Now don't worry about how low you go over your lap. Your low back may be prohibiting you, or your hips may be preventing you from doing that. Try not to put too much excess weight in your knees, especially when you're circling around. So just a light weight there. And if you want a little bit more movement in your upper body, you can even incorporate your rib cage, like you're doing a little cow tilt as you come forward and a slight cat stretch as you move back. And if you're confused by that, I'm showing you an example of that. So some people like to stay taller like this. Some people like to swoop low. Either one is fine. Now, once we just sit in Siddhasana the regular way, which we're not going to do until the end, I just want to go ahead and tell you it helps to magnetize the energy up the central axis of the spine, which creates more harmony and balance, and it gives a massage to the sciatic nerve, opening up many meridians to get the energy heightened in the body. Now, gently come back to the top. Flip your hands open, close the eyes. Just feel. Let that absorb. Feel your chin to your chest. Look down at how you cross the feet and cross the other way. So now that right foot's going to come closer to you, left foot out in front. Hands back to the lap, crown of the head reaching up. And then as you exhale, this time you're turning to the left, swooping down and around to the right, and inhale to the top. So this repetitive action is really good for the adrenal glands that sit right above the kidneys. It's also good for replenishing the kidneys. And again, you can a couple different ways here. You can do a blend. And yogi's choice on if you want to go slow, moderate, or fast. If you go fast, sometimes it can be a little dizzying though. So just fair warning. Okay, let's get some of that stiffness out of that upper body, especially on this Sunday morning. And then come right back up to the top. Flip the hands open, a sign of receptivity. Just notice what you have been receiving, what you still are receiving. Maybe feeling that energy swirling or dispersing. Trusting the body's intelligence to send it exactly where it needs to go. Or you can direct it towards the mind's eye, gazing towards that reference point in and up between the eyebrows. Open up the eyes. We're going to separate the feet. We're going to come up towards a Mahasana squat. This is okay for everyone's knees. You can sit on a block if that is better. You can be in bear pose, or you can be in this form if that's better for your personal body. Coming into the squat position, it's good for the back, it's good for the hips, it's good for the process of elimination. This is the birthing position. Bring the fingertips down to the floor, spin the heels back behind the toes, straighten out through the legs, and bow down. If your hands touch the floor, flip them upside down so that your elbows can loosen up. Because if you straighten your arms, you're impeding the back from getting more space, more length, more openness. Nodding your head one way or the other, blend. Affirming here as you hold, nothing and no one on this earth can hold me down or back. Is there anything blocking you from living to your highest and fullest potential? And place your hands onto your hips, root down to the soles of the feet. Slowly build up to stand. Then we're gonna step the feet all the way to the top of the mat. Bring them down. Hands to prayer position at the heart. Let's begin to move. As you inhale, sweep the arms to your sides and up to Siddhasana. And as you exhale, flow down to your Uttanasana. Inhale, uplift halfway. The hands can slide up the leg bones. And as you exhale, bow out. Inhale, step back, plank. And as you exhale, rock forward, lower down to Chaturanga Dandasana. You can always lower your knees to help. Inhale, bloom open to upward facing dog. And curl the toes under, roll back to downward facing dog. Plugging the palms into the mat, stretching back to your arms and spine. Pushing down to the balls of the feet so your sit bones get a little bit more uplifted. Think about how high you can get the pinnacle of the pose. Incorporate the breath. Become the master of the breath. Mastering the breath can help to master the self. Can help to master the mind. Inhale, bring the feet to the top of the mat. You can meditationally walk. You can lunge. You can float to Ardha Uttanasana. And then exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, reach the arms to your sides and up. And exhale, Samasthiti. And do a couple more of those just as a warm up. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Exhale, take it back and lower down to Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale to Urdhva Mukha. Exhale into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Hold and breathe. Next in breath, land the feet at the top of the mat. Come halfway up as you do so. Look out with your eyes, shoulders straight back from the ears. Exhale, roll it down, belly first, chest second, face last. Inhale to the top. Exhale, Samasthiti. All right, we're doing one more A. Inhale, open up. Exhale, close yourself in. Inhale, peek up and out. Exhaling to Chaturanga Dandasana. You can lower and hover until you're ready to breathe in. Then inhaling, open up the heart and throat. Exhaling, use your core to roll back, not just swinging from your limbs. When we're swinging from the limbs, it's like we're in that monkey state of mind. We want to integrate other areas into the practice. That happens when the mind is able to be more calm and more present through the transitionary poses. Inhale, bring the feet to the top of the mat. Lengthen out to the vertebrae. Exhale, gently release. Inhale, all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. Start to change it up. Inhale, bring the arms up and arch back. Exhale, hands together and humbly fold straight down. Inhale, the right foot's gonna step back. When that right foot steps back, we're gonna lower the back knee, keep the back toes curled, come to the tips of the fingers and lift up through the sternum, lift up to the crown of the head. Good, from this half lunge position, take one more deep breath. And then exhale, untuck the back toes. Inhale, push heavily through that front foot. Bring your arms up alongside your ears. Palms can turn to face each other. Anjaneyasana. Exhale, bring the hands straight down. Curl the back toes under, pluck the back knee up. Inhale to crescent. This does require a little bit of balance. So Steady your stance, gaze straight ahead with your eyes. Breathe. All right, exhale. We're gonna bring the hands down to the corner of the mat, spinning the left toes to face that direction. And we're gonna lunge the left knee, and the hands are gonna walk down the outseam of the mat. Little side lunge. And you can add little pulses here if you like. And then eventually take it off to the right foot, lunging into the right knee. Siddhasana, little pulses here if you prefer. All right, walk it back to the front of the mat, spin the feet to face the front, step back into your plank. Exhale, tip forward, lower down like a low push-up. Inhale to up dog. Exhale, curl the toes and take downward facing dog. Now notice if you're getting bowy in your back. So are you back bending? You shouldn't be. So think about if you're dragging into your shoulder joints. Pull up to your armpits if you are. Are you getting really ribby in the front? If so, cinch in through your low ribs, your low waist, your low belly. Next in breath, right foot is gonna step through in between the hands. Once you come here, lower the back knee, come to the tips of the middle fingers. It's okay if your thumbs and pinkies lift up. Back toes curled. Head and heart up. Breathe. Untuck the back toes. And you're really pushing through that front foot. Otherwise, you're going to be dragging through the hips. And we're bringing it up. We're drawing up through the pelvic floor. We're drawing up through the navel center. And we're erecting the spine. Anjaneyasana. Focus your eyes. Bring the arms straight down, curl the back toes under, plug up that back knee. Once you have the ball of the foot in place, and have your foundation set, you can rise up to a crescent lunge. Your exhale, we'll bring the hands to the inside of the foot, long enough to turn the right toes to the corner, to spin down to the back heel. Siddhasana, lunging into the right knee. Walk it towards the back of your mat. Siddhasana into the left knee. Just like sometimes in happy baby pose, we like to be still or we like to roll on the back. Same thing here. You can have a static hold or you can add in the little spanda. I'll bring it back towards the front. Springboard the back foot forward and lower in. All right, we're going to grab a hold of the right wrist and we're going to slide the hand down the back side of the calves. Let your head bow. Focus and emphasize your exhalations. Opening up this main meridian at the back of the body. So if you've ever tried to sit for longer than 15 minutes for meditation, you know that your body starts to ache, right? I know I'm not the only one. You start to notice, is my core weak? Is my back weak? Am I slouching? And sometimes that stems from tight hips, tight hamstrings. This is why the postures are so important, to open up the body so the body can sit at ease in a state of meditation. All right, release your hands. Inhale, bring it all the way up fully to the top. Arch back. And we're going to keep this rolling, hands to prayer. Let's fold. On your next inhale, we're stepping into plank first. And we're gonna drop to knees. We're shifting the shoulders past the wrist, then bending the arms, dipping the chin towards the floor. And then inhale, slide through the belly, shoulders roll back, legs lengthen towards the back wall, breathing into the diaphragm muscle. Stimulating and strengthening as you are sinking down to the belly. Breathing with depth so that every time you inhale, you rise a bit. Every time you exhale, you dip a bit. On your next inhale, curl your toes under, lengthen through your neck so you're looking towards the floor. Pluck up your knees, squeeze your arms in, pull in through your belly, and try to defy gravity and come straight up plank. I know that can be challenging. Exhale, down dog. If your feet slid apart, walk them a little closer together. This time, inhale, the right leg's gonna lift. You're gonna scissor and point the right foot. You're gonna bend the top knee. You're gonna take downward scorpion. From downward scorpion, see if you can even maybe look up underneath the right arm. Good. From here, unroll the right hip. Step the right foot all the way forward and through between the hands. Okay, we're going right back in. Okay, inhale. Take the right leg, Ektapada Adho Mukha Siddhasana, one-legged down dog, and then point and scissor the legs more like a split. Bend the top knee, now take downward scorpion. Unroll the hip, swing that foot through in between the hands. Drop the back knee this time, come to the tips of the middle fingers, lift up through the crown. All right, we're gonna be changing this up. Untuck the back toes, push into the right foot, come up to Anjaneyasana. Yes, we did this already. When we did this earlier, we came up into crescent lunge. But we're gonna go into Soma lunge next. So land your left hand to the floor, root it down, curl the back toes under, lift the knee. You're gonna swirl onto the outer edges of each foot and fly the right arm skyward. I know it feels funky at first to turn the back foot especially, but once you do it, it's like, oh, okay, I got this. We're just not used to taking that maneuver with our body. It's a little different, right? Exhale, spin the toes to face the front as you lower the right hand down and step into your plank. Exhale, tip forward, lower down to your chaturanga. Inhale, rise to upward facing dog. Exhale, rock and roll back. Downward facing dog. Hop, we're here. Now we get to lift the left leg. And we get to point the toes and lift it higher. And then we get to bend the knee and take downward scorpion. Create that scorpion tail, no intention to sting. Feel it even in your glutes in that piriformis. Unroll the hip, step that left foot forward. And then we're going right back in. All right, step it up. Ektapada Adho Mukha Siddhasana first, one-legged down dog. Bend the top knee. After you scissor the legs, take downward scorpion. Unroll, step the foot all the way through. All right, one more. Inhale, take it back. Scissor it up. Stride downward scorpion. Opening up the hips, opening up the inner thighs, working with the ankles. All this is important for that sitting pose. And then unroll, step it through, drop the back knee this time. Under the tips of the middle fingers. All right, untuck the back foot. Push down heavily to the left. Come up. Siddhasana. Breathe. All right, when we bring the hands down, this is going to be the soma lunge, right hand roots. Back toes curl, pluck up the back knee, and then turn to the outer edges of each foot. Fly that left arm skyward. Slowly turn back. Lower the left hand. We're taking it back to plank. We're dropping to the knees. We're leaning back into child's. Extended form of child, where the hands stay glued to the mat in front of us, and the elbows fly up to work into the arms to stretch the lymphatic tissues at the upper part of the chest. Now slide your hands back. Take your hands behind you, lean into your hands and feet, and float your shins. The knees will hover. This is a lot for the feet, but the feet need to be open for the full Siddhasana. All right, we're coming back down to the knees. Slide your arms ahead of you. Rock up like you're coming to table, but bring your heels towards your buttocks, point the toes towards the ceiling, and lift the head up and back. Now back to extended child's pose. Hands slide back. Torso comes up. Passing through hero to move into the ankle stretch. I know this is a lot for the feet. But the feet are so often ignored. Yeah, they're so hidden in shoes all the time. They're not getting a lot of attention. All right, come back down. Arms slide out. We're doing this one more round. Inhale, shift through table. Kick your heels in. Open the heart and throat center. This variation of swan. Exhale back to extended child's pose. Sliding your hands back, bringing the trunk up, passing through hero. And working into the feet. All right, when you're ready, come back down to your shins. Table to downward facing dog. All right. Who wants pigeon today? Anybody? Yes? Okay. Inhale, lift your left leg. Scissor, downward scorpion. Let this feel better after we've done it a few times. And then unroll. Left shin just behind the hands. The knee is kind of facing the outer edge of the mat. But instead of going straight down today, we're going to walk the hands over towards that foot. And we're going to lower in that direction. Remember, you can be stacked on your forearms. You can use props to lean into, or you can just melt all the way down. Your body permits. Soften your jaw, your face. Really, all the muscles should be relaxing unless you're using your upper body to prop up. Inhale, slowly start to back away. Bring them palms back, shoulder distance apart in front of you. Pull the back toes under, sail back, down dog. Get that nice flush. Inhale, right leg lifts. Scissor it until you create your downward scorpion. Unroll. Bring that shin through. Slide your left leg down. Make sure your hips are pretty even. Walk them now over to the right foot and start to lower. Find your comfort zone here. Comfort zone doesn't mean you don't feel anything. Comfort zone means you're feeling it, you're receiving it, but you're easily and readily available to breathe through it. Okay, we're not going to transfer through down dog like we did before. We're actually going to lean onto that right hip and bring that left leg now around in front. Soles of the feet together. And just flutter the wings of the butterfly here. Just up and down. Take pause with that. Turn the feet out. Like you're trying to look at the map of the soles of the feet. And then fold over. That feet, when we open them out like a book, will help the external rotators of the hips open a little bit more. Arming here as you hold secure in myself. I accept the wrist. Draw the knees together, but separate your feet. All right, so I'm going to tell you about the 5 different types of yoga. Some of you already know this, but some of you may not. Hold on to your knees, and I'll get you into a pose while I speak to you. So your inhale, you're diving through the knees, creating like a back bend. So your shoulders kind of stretch back towards your spine. And then as you exhale, you round it back like a cat stretch, pulling the navel in and pulling the heart back. And you're just going to go back and forth. This is the in breath. This is the out breath. All right, continue that. So if you look and really study yoga, there's 5 different types of yoga. There's jnana yoga, which is the yoga of intellect. So if all we did for the hour was to sit and discuss the philosophy, to sit and to read the books that have this backing to it, this moral ethical code, and we're really intellectually thinking about it, that's jnana yoga. Then you have what's called karma yoga, which is selfless service, wanting to help, wanting to do something without any reward, right? That's karma yoga, doing it from your heart. And then there's bhakti yoga, which is the yoga of devotion. It's like looking at it as being a spiritual practice, chanting the mantras, singing these ancient songs. And then you have hatha yoga. And hatha yoga is the physical posturing, the physical exercising. And then you have what's called raja yoga, which incorporates it all. So I'm a Raja Yogi, you know, I bring it all to you. But some people, like if you ever go like, you know, traveling and you want to go to a yoga studio, all you have to do is like really look and study their website. You know, if you look and really read like their descriptions, you're gonna know what kind of yoga they offer. Some of them say, we are a Hatha yoga studio. You're not gonna get any extra. It's just flat out Hatha yoga. Okay, now come out of that sequence after the cat stretch, lengthen your left leg out in front of you and step the right foot over. So this book, Hatha Yoga Pradipika, that I mentioned with a few of the poses in it, Hatha Yoga is said to come about through the lineage of Matsyendra. So we're gonna do Ardha Matsyendra. So that left heel is now gonna come in towards the right hip. Now, when you do that, you know, one or another of your sit bone may be lifted. So try to root both sides of your seat to the floor. Good. Your left arm can do a couple different things. It can hug it in, or you can do this, which when you do this, your arm, either way, you're either hugging it in or you're pushing that knee. Do you feel that? All right, so pick one of those pieces of action with the left arm, and the right hand's gonna cross behind your back. Now, there is a third option here. If you're open in the shoulders, where the left hand can loop underneath the thigh and the right hand can catch that hand once you thread it behind your back. I know I can do it on one side, but I can't do it on the other. That's the way I feel on my second side, Lisa. And then if you have your hand outstretched like this, you can always add in like a pretty mudra, right? This is wisdom, index finger and thumb, patience, middle finger to thumb, health is third finger to thumb, communication, pinky to thumb, just to give you a few options. So Matsyendra was one of the original yogic sages. There were 7. Exhale, unwind. Right leg extends. Deep twist. Left foot crosses over. And then we're going to lean onto the right hip to slide that foot back, but then come back to your left sit bone. You can either hug or use that arm, or maybe thread the arm. Most importantly, see if you can take some deep breaths, yogic breaths. Close the eyes, bring in the affirmation. I radiate my love, goodwill, compassion to soul friends everywhere. Exhale and wash. Wasn't just so deep this morning. All right. Straighten your legs. Pat, you can use a fist or your hands. Your buttocks, your piriformis, the outer hips, the outer thighs, the calves. All right, here we go. Separate the feet. Left foot in first, right foot in front of that. Simplest way to do Siddhasana right here. Okay, second way, just try it with me. If it hurts, creates strain, pain, leave it out. So second position would be picking up this front foot and stacking it on top of the closest foot. And this is the second variation of Siddhasana or swastikasana or auspicious pose. The toes of the top foot tuck inside your thigh and calf. This is the third phase. And you may not be able to do second, so don't force the third if that's the case. If you lift this knee that has the foot at the bottom, your hand will slip under to draw it through. And then your feet stay warm. But that's a lot for the knees. Can you feel that little tug on the knee? So you got to make sure you've got healthy, flexible knees. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. Okay. And sometimes we don't know until we try. And it's like, oh, maybe I do. Take the legs out. It's two-sided. Now bring the right foot in. And the left foot in front. And this has become my normal seat. I don't sit the crisscross applesauce like Siddhasana. I don't sit that way anymore. And I hardly ever do lotus or half lotus unless I'm teaching it. This is my seat. I take the front foot, stack it. How does that feel? I don't know. One side's always more awkward and one side's always more available. Tucking the toes in between the calves. Remember that hand has to slip up underneath, pull it in and up. And it locks the feet into place. This has the benefits I mentioned before. It opens up the energetic channels to get the energy coming up, which is what you want for meditation. It helps to activate the Sushumna channel instead of it being dispersed left or right, creating the harmony. And it is said to massage the sciatic nerve. So I don't remember, I know the sciatic nerve like moves from the back through the buttocks down to the back of the leg. So I'm not sure exactly where that is. Thinking maybe the feet, since it's coming in through back thighs too. All right, that is Siddhasana. That's what we're building for today. But I want you to get an inversion in. So you get to pick your favorite. So if you want supported bridge, right? You could put a block underneath your sacrum here. Or you could do it actively with your hands laced, pelvis higher. You could lift to wheel. If you prefer, I'm guessing Cindy, yeah, she's gonna do headstand because that's her favorite. You may want to go to a wall and do handstand. You may want Lisa's variation. She's gonna do shoulder stand. I know everybody has their favorites, and even sometimes we may have our favorite, but we may not feel like we have the energy to go there on that particular day. So listen to your body. You've been connecting through it this whole hour. What is it saying? What is it wanting? You know, legs up the wall works too, as an inversion. So does child's pose. So it doesn't even have to be an active inversion. Oh, you guys, this is the cutest thing ever. Cheryl's grandbaby is like, she's trying to do shoulder stand and the baby's coming up and down your leg. It's so cute. Yes, when you're ready to come down, exit cautiously. Take your time. Just as you were breathing your way into it, you want to breathe your way out of it. If you need a counter pose, take a counter. And then if you're ready for Shavasana, I'd like you to use your bolster and blanket. So we're gonna, well, I'm gonna lead you into something specific, but if you want to just do corpse pose or your own thing, do your own thing. But I thought today we were working to feed the legs and hips a lot. So I thought if we stack the legs on the bolster, then take that blanket, unless you need it for a pillow. If you swaddle the legs, Tuck that blanket underneath. It feels so nice and grounding. Change up the music while you settle into your pose. Now is the time of the practice. We let the activity go. Move from being active to passive, at least physically speaking. Want to use this time to absorb benefits, to let your mind and body assimilate. To integrate. Even to help to disintegrate some of the toxins or tension or worry that we felt inside. Feel how much more expanded your mind and your heart may be after this hour. Just like in the beginning, try to stay in that feeling of expansion. It's in expanding ourselves that we can become more enlightened. Know that your energy field extends past your physical form. And because we've been cleansing our system and heightening our energy, that auric field is even larger than it was when you arrived. Use this time to connect back to source. Deepen the flow of our breath. A little movement into your hands. Maybe even turning your head from side to side. And eventually unruffling the blanket from the legs so that you can hug the knees into your belly and chest. Give yourself this nice, warm, loving embrace. Roll over to one side of your body. Come up to take a seat. Drawing your hands to prayer position at your heart. Give a moment of gratitude to the health of your body. The movements you were able to get into today. Give gratitude to the healthy state of your mind that was able to maintain some focus, and mindfulness through the practice. But mostly give gratitude for your internal soul or spirit for guiding you here to begin with. I hope you were able to cultivate some inner freedom and some inner peace. I hope you feel calm and centered and that you can operate from this space once you depart. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste. Each of you for showing up today. Beautiful. Okay. Yeah.